holiday, a season to remember. Join a team of romantic adventurers in a race for lost treasure. From the jungles of Peru to the streets of Cairo. From the greed of the pharaohs to the wrath of God. This holiday, see the #1 movie hit of the year, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Now showing at selected theaters in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Check your newspaper for listings and showtime.
It's time for another episode of Pop History Podcast, which opens a chronological time capsule of the music, movies, and television memories of our past. If you are a fan of nostalgia, a child of the 80s, or just a pop culture historian, stay tuned for your lesson in pop history. Now here's your host, Jay Jackson.
Billboard ranked them, AT40 counted them down way back then, and now Pop History Podcast is taking you on a trip down memory lane. This time we're counting down the top 10 Billboard Hot 100 singles for the week of December 19th, 1981, along with plenty of great movies, TV, and other news for you. But first, let's get to the music. Number 10. Earlier this year, Fleetwood Mac singer Stevie Nicks released her first solo album, Prima Donna. The first single, Stop Dragging My Heart Around, featured rocker and friend Tom Petty. For her second single, she enlisted another friend, former Eagles singer Don Henley. For this track, kicking off the countdown this month is Stevie Nicks and Don Henley with Leather and Lace. Those country fans out there might remember Waylon Jennings and Jesse Coulter released their debut album called Leather and Lace earlier in 1981. Is that a coincidence? Well, not really. Stevie Nicks originally wrote the song for the duo to use on their album. What's in the news this month? The first test tube baby in the United States is born to a 28-year-old New England schoolteacher. She gave birth through a C-section to a 5-pound, 12-ounce girl. The mother's name is Judith Carr, and her daughter is Elizabeth Jordan. Elizabeth is still going strong today, living in Massachusetts as a journalist. The government warns Libyan strongman Muammar Gaddafi to drop his alleged plan to assassinate President Reagan. Reagan says that the U.S. has evidence that the Libyan leader has sent an assassination squad to kill him. In related news, Reagan invalidates U.S. passports for travel to Libya and asks the estimated 1,500 Americans in the country to come home at once because their lives and safety are in imminent danger. A judge orders hairdresser Marilyn Barnett to move out of the Malibu home owned by her former lover, tennis champion Billie Jean King. King says she's relieved that it is all over. Her husband, Larry King, not the TV show host, said his wife and he would lose millions in contracts withdrawn or never offered after the public revelation that Billie had a lesbian lover. In an attempt to crush political opposition, the authoritarian communist government of Poland introduces martial law and rioting erupts. The unrest would continue until July 1983 and result in 91 people killed and thousands of opposition activists jailed, many not being released until 1986. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis testifies that her recent summer on Cape Cod was intolerable and almost unlivable because of the constant surveillance of freelance photographer Ron Galea. A complaint was filed alleging the photographer had violated a 1975 court order barring him from coming within 25 feet of her and 30 feet from the children. While eliminating 13,000 salaried jobs, General Motors announces sweeping cutbacks in vacation, medical, and other benefits for its remaining 190,000 non-union white-collar workers. New York City trash collectors and their striking workers reached agreement on a new contract which ends a 17-day strike that left the Big Apple cluttered with piles of garbage. President Reagan and his top advisors brace for a deeper and longer recession than they anticipated, but they will stick with their plans without any relief programs. Meanwhile, the U.S. unemployment rate rises to a 6-year high of 8.4%. 27-year-old Frank Melvin, a member of the Guardian Angels volunteer anti-crime group, is shot to death in Newark, New Jersey by a police officer outside a housing project, by mistake. The officer fired on Melvin believing he was the suspect in a burglary report they were responding to. Despite a reported decline in the use of marijuana among high school students over the past 3 years, First Lady Nancy Reagan told the American Council on Marijuana that youthful drug abuse is the nation's main drug problem. There is no question that youthful abuse is now the overwhelming drug use problem, Mrs. Reagan said.
The Smurfs will return after these messages.
I may not seem special to you, but I am to these guys. I'm the chef, chauffeur, homework checker. So when I get a cold, I want to relieve all my cold symptoms. I take a complete cold medicine, Cotylenol.
Cotylenol is a complete cold medicine because it relieves congestion, cough, runny nose, aches, pains, fever, everything. Cotylenol is so complete.
Would you believe I've got a cold?
Cotylenol, complete cold medicine. No cold product relieves more cold symptoms.
Opening now at Sears, a Christmas of red ribbon values, including Sears' best-selling video game, Video Arcade. On sale now for only $134.99, our lowest price ever. And don't miss the full assortment of game cartridges available at everyday low prices. Or try your hand at Sears' wide selection of 1- and 2-player handheld sports games. Our everyday low price is $12 to $13 lower than last Christmas. To wrap up a beautiful Christmas, you can count on Sears.
Number 9. At number 9 this week, here is a Journey with Don't Stop Believin'.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere. A singer in a smoky room, the smell of wine and cheap perfume. For a smile they can share the night. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard. Their shadows searching in the night. Streetlights, people, living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the working hard to get my fill. Everybody wants a thrill. Paying anything to roll the dice just one more time. Some will win, some will lose. Some of them just sing the blues. Oh, the movie never ends. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard. Their shadows searching in the night. Streetlights, people, living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlight people. Don't stop believing. Hold on. Streetlight people. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that
That's Journey with their second single from Escape. The song's become so huge with the kids nowadays, it's become the best-selling digital track from the 20th century. Although I would guess that Queen is probably coming close to taking that title with their recent resurgence. We're really late on the new music this month. Here's what we got. Jazz musician Grover Washington Jr. returns with his latest, Come Morning. Emmylou Harris will later win the Grammy for Best Country Vocal Performance for her latest album, titled Cimarron. The Funksters Lakeside return with their fifth album. This one's called Keep On Moving Straight Ahead. 60s pop singer Del Shannon is back on the charts. His cover of Sea of Love from his latest album, Drop Down and Get Me, cracks into the top 40. Good for Del. The Catherine Wheel is David Byrne's musical score for Twyla Tharp's dance project in New York City. 4 of the tracks on this album were performed live by the Talking Heads in the coming years. And since there isn't much of anything new worth playing today, let's listen to a tune from the #1 album in the United States in December of 1981. Chances are you heard this tune coming out of a Trans Am in the early 80s. Here is Foreigner with Jukebox Hero.
Standing in the rain with his head hung low, couldn't get a ticket, it was a sold out show. Heard the own shadow by the backstage door, like a trip through the past. That day in the rain, and that one guitar made his whole life change. Now he needs to keep it rocking. He just can't stop. Gotta keep on rocking. That boy has got to stay on top and be a jukebox hero. Got stuck in his eyes. He's a jukebox hero. Got stuck in his eyes. Yeah, jukebox hero. Stuck in his eyes. With that one guitar, he'll come alive tonight.
Rock band The Who may be on their last days. After 20 years of being together, bass player John Entwistle says he and the other members of the group have agreed that they would not be together much longer. Spoiler, I don't know if they're still in it, but they just did their 50th anniversary tour. Yoko Ono speaks out about life a year after the murder of John Lennon. In a piece published by the New York Daily News, Ono said that she spends her days in the same New York apartment the family shared, compiling the large collection of music, drawings, and other writings left by the former Beatle. Ono said that the murder of Lennon was without reason, and Lennon was a casualty of the war between peace and violence. If you live under a rock, John Lennon was shot to death outside his New York apartment building in December of 1980. Although the killer was caught and imprisoned, Ono admits that she now is almost always accompanied by an escort when she ventures out of her apartment.
Whew, we'll be up all night doing your homework.
Don't worry, Dad. I just put Energizers in the calculator.
Of all leading brands, nothing outlasts the Energizer from Eveready. Nothing outsnaps it. Nothing outadds, outwalks, outplays, outtapes, outshines, outlasts it. Nothing.
The Energizer even outlasted Dad.
The Energizer, Energizer, for life.
Long life.
Energize me.
Christmas is a time for closeness, and closeness is what Norelco razors are all about. For close shaves, there's no action like Twin Action. The Twin Action Norelco Rototract razor, cord and rechargeable. The Ladybugs shave legs and underarms, Norelco Clean, Norelco Close. The Ladybug Salon is a Ladybug razor plus 11 grooming attachments. Norelco. Even our name says Merry Christmas.
Number 8. At number 8 on the countdown this week is a group out of Portland, Oregon. They had just signed to Geffen Records and released their self-titled debut in September. Now they're already in the top 10 with their song Harden My Heart. Here is Quarter Flash. you lived in the Oregon area back in the early 80s, you may have heard a different version of the song. Songwriter and band guitarist Marv Ross released the song with his previous band, Seafood Mama, in early 1980, and the song had some regional success on Portland radio. Personally, I think if they would have kept the name Seafood Mama, Quarter Flash could have been more than a one-hit wonder. What's going on the boob tube? Well, Robert Wagner returns to Heart to Heart almost 2 weeks after the drowning of his wife, Natalie Wood. BET, the Black Entertainment Television, begins airing nationally 3 hours a week on Sunday nights, sharing the USA channel. Rock Hudson, who underwent a quintuple coronary artery bypass operation in November, is set to return to his new series, The Devlin Connection, on January 11th. Only 3 episodes were filmed before the operation. On Christmas Eve, HBO begins broadcasting 24 hours a day. The next day, Christmas Day, Chuck Woolery hosts his last episode of the NBC game show Wheel of Fortune. Woolery quit after a salary dispute with series creator and producer Merv Griffin. The next week, 35-year-old DJ and weatherman Pat Sajak makes his debut as the new host. Plenty of holiday television specials airing on the big networks this month, including Perry Como's Christmas special with Debbie Boone and Dorothy Hamill, Dean Martin's Christmas at SeaWorld, Johnny Cash, Christmas in Scotland, Jim Nabors' Christmas in Hawaii, a special Anne Murray Christmas, and A Country Christmas starring Roy Clark, Jerry Reed, and John Schneider.
You're watching HBO.
Number 7. With a song originally recorded by Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers in 1956, Diana Ross is back with the first single from her new album. With the title track, here is Why Do Fools Fall in Love? That's Lady Supreme herself, Diana Ross, with her version of the 1950s hit, Why Do Fools Fall in Love? If you're a Las Vegas aficionado, you should check out the music video for this song. It was filmed on Fremont Street in downtown Vegas back in '81, and it looks quite different today. Let's get away from the music for a moment and look to the silver screen. The spoilers have already begun for Star Trek II. 6 months before the film's scheduled release, it has been confirmed that Ricardo Montalban, star of TV's Fantasy Island, will reprise his role of Khan from an episode of the original 1966 television series. What's hitting the theaters this month?
In a not-too-distant suburb, on a very quiet street, Earl Keese, a reserved, hard-working homeowner, sits calmly waiting for his dinner. Little does he know, he's about to meet the neighbors. Ramona.
Hello. What can I do for you?
Anything you like. The question is, what do you want in return?
And Vic.
So, what do you say, neighbor? Welcome to the end of the road, I guess. It's a great house. Thank you. I mean mine.
And somehow, his life will never be the same.
Who goes there? Hi, it's Earl Keese.
Columbia Pictures presents John Belushi.
I swear to God, Enid, we may have to move. They're very strange people.
Dan Aykroyd. Kathy Moriarty.
Your left ball in the corner pocket.
In Neighbors. Lock the doors.
Hey, Earl, you go to hell. You're not getting back in here.
They're coming your way Friday, December 18th. Neighbors. Rated R.
John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd are back. This isn't another Blues Brothers. The duo take on the personas of new suburban neighbors in the dark comedy Neighbors. The film was plagued by troubles from the start. In pre-production, Aykroyd and Belushi switched roles and decided to act against type. The two also argued frequently with director John G. Avildsen, and the original author of the 1980 novel was upset with all the changes which were being made. The critics were split on the film, some liking the offbeat experimentation of the film, while others felt that it lacked any sense or real tone or creativity. Another buddy team, Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, team up again with legendary director Billy Wilder in the comedy Buddy Buddy. It appears the film really wasn't that bad, it was just that with Billy Wilder and this comedic team, expectations were high. And even Wilder wasn't all that excited to have this film as his finale. He later stated, "If I met all my old pictures in a crowd, personified, there are some of them that would make me happy and proud, and I would embrace them. But Buddy Buddy, I would try to ignore." The Italian horror film Dawn of the Mummy is released. In the UK, the film is cut down by nearly 2 minutes due to its blood and gore. The drama about four friends living in the turbulent 1960s explored in the new film Four Friends. The 1978 BBC television drama Pennies from Heaven is given the U.S. musical romance big screen adaptation and stars Steve Martin in his first dramatic role. Martin trained for 6 months to learn how to tap dance, while co-star Christopher Walken was trained as a dancer as a young man and was able to use his skills in the film. Co-star Bernadette Peters will win an acting Golden Globe for the film, despite its lackluster box office performance. Big stars Jane Fonda and Chris Christopherson can't get people in the seats for their new political thriller. Rollover is a box office flop. But not all of Jane Fonda's roles this month were a flop. Fonda stars in a supporting role in the new drama film On Golden Pond, opposite Katharine Hepburn and her father, Henry Fonda, in his final acting role. The film depicted a father-daughter rift on screen, which Jane Fonda thought closely paralleled the real-life relationship with her father. The film would be a big hit, becoming the second highest grossing film of the year and receiving 10 Oscar nominations, winning 3. Warren Beatty produces, writes, directs, and stars in the new epic historical drama film Reds. The film tells the story of John Reed, a journalist who chronicled the Russian Revolution in 1917. With an all-star cast that also included Diane Keaton, Jack Nicholson, and Maureen Stapleton, the film was a success, earning numerous award nominations but losing most to either On Golden Pond or Chariots of Fire. Paul Newman stars as an everyday liquor salesman who wakes up to find He's being investigated for murder in the new drama Absence of Malice. The film also stars Sally Field and Melinda Dillon in an Oscar-nominated supporting role.
The house is so empty. The town is so still. The truth, never buried, has come back to kill. The cold wind shrieks. The full moon's pale. The time has come to tell the tale. Fred Astaire, Melvin Douglas, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., John Houseman. Ghost Story, based on Peter Straub's terrifying bestseller, Rated R. Now playing at a theater near you.
Involvement in a woman's death decades earlier leads a group of elderly men to reunite when one of them suspects her ghost has been haunting him in the new film Ghost Story. The film had a respectable box office performance, taking in $23 million total, making it the third highest grossing horror film of the year. Burt Reynolds is back once again, and this time he's on both sides of the camera as the star and director of the new cop thriller Sharky's Machine. I remember this film as being the first time I saw someone's fingers being cut off on the big screen. I think I was too young to see that. George C. Scott, Timothy Hutton, and very young actors Sean Penn and Tom Cruise make up the cast of the new drama film Taps. In the days before everyone had a movie they can watch in their coat pockets, film studios would often re-release their classic films to give audiences a chance to see the film again. For the holiday season this year, Disney re-releases their 1950 classic, Cinderella.
Everybody dumped on Chevy until a nuclear shower gave him the power. Oh, it's true. And the green light to get even. Max. And make this holiday season the funniest ever. Yes! Modern Problems, rated PG. I like it. Starts Christmas Day at a theater near you.
He may have had success with a season of TV's Saturday Night Live, the 1978 film Foul Play, and a small role in last year's Caddyshack, but can comedian Chevy Chase become a real lead comedic actor? In his latest film, Modern Problems, Chase has help from co-stars Dabney Coleman and Nell Carter.
Number 6.
The hitmakers Daryl Hall and John Oates return to the charts this month with their fourth single to hit the top 10 in 1981 after Kiss on My List, You Make My Dreams, and Private Eyes. Here are Daryl Hall and John Oates with I Can't Go For That, No Can Do. That's Daryl Hall and John Oates with the second single from the Private Eyes record, I Can't Go For That, You Know Can Do. When asked about the lyrics on this record, John Oates said that while many listeners might think the lyrics are about a relationship, they're actually about the music business and about avoiding being pushed around by the big labels, the managers, and agents. Female producers at CBS report that they're not getting a fair deal at the executive card table. 3 of the documentary unit's 13 producers are female, and they are speaking out about their exclusion from the all-male poker games that are held every 6 weeks or so. Women say that the card games, which have been going on for the last 18 years, are essential for networking and can make or break a person's career. Thieves in New York City are using their brains to achieve their goals. The latest trend in purse snatching are thieves reaching over public bathroom stalls to grab ladies' purses while the women are in no position to give chase. So many stores with public bathrooms have removed the hooks from the back of the doors. But the thieves promptly snuck into these restrooms and installed their own stick-on hooks, and it's back to business as usual. 49-year-old Liz Taylor and her husband of 5 years, Senator John Warner, have separated. Senator Warner is Taylor's 6th husband. 22-year-old August Bush Jr., the son of the beer tycoon, reports to the police in St. Louis that he did in fact bite off the left ear of Jeffrey Holgrave. Both of the men were at a tavern playing an amusement game when Holgrave accused Bush of cheating and asked him to step outside. A fight began with the crowd shouting, "Bite off his ear!" He did, leaving only the lower lobe attached. So far he hasn't been arrested or charged, and the ear was not saved. Daredevil Evel Knievel is ordered to pay $12.75 million in damages to a former television executive he injured in 1977 by an assault with a baseball bat. After the murders of 4 gang members this past summer in Los Angeles, police arrest porn star John Holmes this month and charge him with the murders. After a 3-week trial in 1982, Holmes would be acquitted of the murder charges. This story would be dramatized in the 2003 film Wonderland.
I've got an idea.
McDonald's presents the perfect ending to a less than perfect day. Our chopped beefsteak sandwich.
Hey.
Only McDonald's puts 100% pure beef together with fresh slivered onions on a toasted French roll with our specially blended steak sauce on the side.
Now that's not just another steak sandwich.
That's McDonald's chopped beefsteak sandwich.
Nobody can do it like McDonald's can.
Nobody.
After being introduced in 1979, McDonald's is dropping their chopped beefsteak sandwich from their restaurants. Although many people who have tried it said it was their best sandwich, sales have been slow. Many think it's the high price of the sandwich. It's $1.29 compared to 40 cents for a regular burger. Okay, everyone, it's time for our TV theme trivia. This one might be a toughie. Do you remember which TV show goes with this theme?
Wednesday, Ralph stumbles into an old mine. Is he in over his head? Find out on the greatest American hero.
Don't move.
Then Colt rescues the wrong guys
Get out of here.
and gets himself really hung up.
Take me to your leader.
The Fall Guy. And then
What is it, Nick?
Fallon's favorite sport, seduction. And revenge is Alexis's specialty. Dynasty. Wednesday night starting at 8 here on ABC.
We'll return after these messages.
It's music,
It's magic. It's Cinderella and all her friends. Jacques.
Poor Cinderella.
Gus Gus. And Lucifer. It's just plain fun. Walt Disney's Cinderella. Rated G. Now playing in selected areas. Starting Christmas Day everywhere. Check local listings.
Here's real turboprop aerial action. Here's Tonka's Hand Command turboprop. You can put an action figure aboard, spin the props, retract the wheels, climb, zoom, and dive. You can pretend to fly anywhere.
The Tonka toy will come for fun.
Action figure not included. Hand Command turboprop toy plane. From Tonka.
This boy is losing his grip. Why did he lose his grip so soon? He didn't fuel up with a good breakfast. Cheerios! Like this good, nutritious breakfast with toast, juice, milk, and yummy Cheerios, which has almost no sugar. When you fuel up in the morning with a Cheerios breakfast,
it'll really get you going.
Cheerios!
Do you have a clue? Well, how about a hint? The series has won 17 Emmy Awards throughout its full run. Still no idea? Well, nowadays we practically have entire cable networks dedicated to home remodeling projects, but back in 1981, we didn't have many options. If you were a fan, you probably tuned in for the PBS series of This Old House. The show made its debut in 1979 with Bob Vila as the show's host for the first 10 seasons. The series, which was originally intended to become just a one-time 13-episode limited series, became one of the most popular programs in PBS history, with numerous spin-offs, its own magazine, and countless imitators. We're halfway through our countdown to the number one song in the land for the week of December 19th, 1981. Number 5. At the midway point of our countdown, we have rock superstar Rod Stewart, incorporating much less guitar and much more synthesizer for his latest album, Tonight I'm Yours. Here's a single, Young Turks, from Rod Stewart.
He said somehow, some way, it's got
I have to admit, when I saw this song listed on the chart, I had no idea what song Young Turks was. Of course, when I heard it, I remembered it instantly. But if you would have put a gun to my head last month and told me to tell you the title of this tune, you'd just have to kill me. That's at number 5. That's Young Turks from Rod Stewart. With the new MTV channel on cable, the music video for this song was the first video played on the channel, which featured breakdancing. This I gotta see. The new electronic version of the age-old game of Simon Says has adults jumping to obey its colorful music commands. About 150 people gathered in Chicago to compete for first prize in the area's first Simon tournament. The electronic game created by Milton Bradley in 1978. 17-year-old Gail Beagle took home the $1,000 check, her own Simon game, which I'm sure she probably has, and a trip to New York City. When a woman ran out of a London drugstore without paying for her items, store security went after her and found the woman to be 60s pop singer Petula Clark. But security soon found out the star wasn't trying to shoplift. She had lost sight of her 9-year-old son and freaked out for a moment. Her son was found soon after, and there was no charges filed. Consumers are crying foul over the TV commercials from two toys, a Dukes of Hazzard slot racing set and the Jeep CJ Snake Track. They claim the ads are deceptive because they employ special video techniques. The group claims the ads exaggerate how fast the cars can go, and they depict the cars rapidly ascending a hill, when in fact the cars could not easily climb such a steep hill. Think the red boxes are a 21st century invention? Think again. This month, Video Corp of America has introduced the Movie Mat, a vending machine where a customer can rent video cassettes. A mini computer records a transaction both when the cassette is rented and when it is returned to the machine a few days later. Thinking why this didn't catch on, but... Actress and activist Brigitte Bardot spends her Christmas Eve and Christmas Day saving 180 dogs from an abandoned shelter in northern France.
Number 4.
With their second single from their latest album, In the Pocket, here is the Commodores with Oh No.
I want you to want me. I'm going crazy knowing he will be your lover tonight. And when he comes, I'll let you go. I'll just pretend as you walk out the door. Holding someone else in your arms. When I close my eyes, I see your face. I'm just not sure how much my heart can erase. Oh no, I can't think. Oh no, I'm going crazy with love. Over you.
out they go to spend their dough without their common sense. They're the dough nuts. Gordon Graham Gans specialized in true romance, and he tried at every chance to make it clear. He was suave, debonair. He used oil on his hair. As for girls, well, they thought Gordon Gans was weird. Gordon thought he'd be just like those actors on TV if he used all the products that they sold. With manly muscles, skin so tan, happy hair, and cologne for man. He dreamed the girls would lose their self-control. Well, it hasn't worked so far, though he buys things by the carload. Tubes and bottles, jars and boxes, there he goes. 'Cause he's sure someday he'll pick just the thing to do the trick, and overnight he'll change to instant Romeo. There's a moral to be heeded. Do you really, really need it? Will all your dreams come true if you just try it? Sometimes changing from within is the best place to begin. Think of Gordon Graham Gans before you buy it.
Bet you know what this is. It's the Darth Vader collector's case from the Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back collection. Inside, it's got room for your favorite Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back action figures. They fit? Yeah. There's Dengar, AT-AT Driver, Rebel Commander, Leia, and 2-1-B. You can hold up to 31 action figures, each sold separately, and you can take them with you. Darth Vader collector's case. Action figures, each sold separately. From Kenner.
Is video really killing the radio star? Well, Mike Nesmith, former member of the Monkees, seems to think so. The musician spoke at a forum in Nashville in front of 300 recording executives. I became more and more convinced that audio-only recording was becoming obsolete, and probably by 1990, we won't have audio-only records. What's happening in the video business is not the death of the record business, but it's the beginning of a new era. I'm not kidding when I say it's the most important event in the history of rock and roll. But not everyone in the industry agrees with him. Robert Pittman, programming director at MTV, says, "We'd like to think MTV is to FM radio what FM was to AM in the early 60s. We're not going to replace radio or records. FM didn't kill AM. It just reached a parity." Advertising has been all over TV, radio, and magazines for decades, but now it's appearing at rock and roll concerts. The Rolling Stones and Rod Stewart have turned to corporate sponsors in an effort to hike their profits. National Publicity Director Bob Marlis said that this effort to bring in more cash could be attributed to royalty and copyright losses suffered when an album can be recorded on blank cassettes and shared among friends. Ironically, Rod Stewart's recent tour is sponsored by Sony Tapes. An eternal flame that burned in memory of the late Elvis Presley has been snuffed out for good, and Walter Anderton, the owner of the tourist attraction where the flame was located, has returned to selling used cars. Elvis Memorial Park, which also featured a life-size plywood likeness of Presley, opened this last summer. "That's it. I'm finished. I lost my shirt any way you look at it. Elvis has cost me enough money. There's nothing left." Anderton set up the memorial and charged visitors $2. Attendance quickly dropped off, and dissatisfied ticket buyers were asking for their money back. The Rolling Stones performed the first pay-TV rock concert. The group performed live from Hampton, Virginia for pay outlets around the country. Viewers were asked to pony up $10 for the event. Country legend Johnny Cash is held up at gunpoint in his home he owns in Jamaica. He was robbed of more than $5,000 in cash as two men ransacked his house. Number 3. Earth, Wind & Fire came out of the music scene in 1971 with their self-titled debut album. They had a solid soul sound which incorporated funk and disco elements throughout the 70s, scoring the top 10 hits Shining Star, Sing a Song, September, Boogie Wonderland, and After the Love Is Gone. Now, in the 80s, Earth, Wind & Fire returned to the top 10. This time, they're bringing the groove. At number 3 this week, here is Earth, Wind & Fire with Let's Groove. Boogie down, down on ground. Boogie down, down on ground. Boogie down, down on ground. Boogie down, down. Let's groove tonight. Share the spice of life. Baby, spice of life. We gonna groove tonight. Let's groove. Get you to move. It's alright, alright, alright. The single of Less Groove as well as the album Raise both had Egyptian-inspired artwork, something that was quite the fad at the time. In 1977, the ancient Egyptian treasure of King Tut were reintroduced to the world via an American museum tour. That leads to Steve Martin's King Tut single, the conspiracy connection with the pyramids and the ancient astronauts, and other fashion and culture elements in the area. Not a whole lot of new shows on the TV this month, but we have a few. After debuting on local Ottawa television in 1979, the sketch comedy show You Can't Do That on Television makes its national debut on the Nickelodeon cable network. The show would run for 10 seasons, and perhaps be best remembered as a show which introduced kids across America to that green slime. Although it's a current fad, the act of bringing back loved TV characters in a new updated series is not a new idea. And this month, actor James Garner returns to his role as a traveling card shark in the Old West. He originated in Maverick in 1957. This time the show is called Brett Maverick, and it debuts on NBC this month. The show wouldn't last as long as the original's 5-season run. This one will only last 1 season. And if you were an average kid like myself in 1981, you probably rolled your eyes whenever mom or dad tuned in to one of these nighttime soap operas. This month, another new one joins the rank with CBS's Falcon Crest. This one focused on the family drama in the California wine industry and starred Jane Wyman and Robert Foxworth. This one will be a hit. It ran for 9 seasons. Okay, let's take a look at who came and went in the world in December of 1981. Future stars born this month include San Diego Chargers quarterback Phillip Rivers, actresses Sienna Miller and Kristen Ritter, singer Amy Lee from Evanescence, and pop star Britney Spears. Looks like most of the stars in 1981 didn't want to ruin their family's holidays by just going and dying. We only had one notable death this month, and that goes to 82-year-old musician Hoagy Carmichael. Carmichael was one of the most successful Tin Pan Alley songwriters of the 1930s and was among the first to utilize new communication technologies such as television, microphones, and recordings with his music. Carmichael composed several hundred songs, including 50 hits like Stardust, Georgia on My Mind, Heart and Soul, and Lazy Bones. In 1951, he won an Oscar for his song In the Cool, Cool, Cool the Evening, which was featured in the film Here Comes the Groom. In honor of the late Hoagy Carmichael, here's a bit of In the Cool, Cool, Cool the Evening. This version features Rosemary Clooney and the Harry James Orchestra.
Sue wants a barbecue, Sam wants to boil a ham, Grace votes for bouillabaisse stew. Jake wants a weenie baked steak and a layer cake, he'll get a tummy ache too. We'll rent a tented teepee, let the town crier cry, and if it's RSVP, this is what I reply. In the cool, cool, cool of the evening, tell 'em I'll be there. In the cool, cool, cool of the evening, better save a chair. When the party's getting a glow on, singing fills the air. In the shank of the night, when the doings are right, you can tell 'em I'll be there. In the cool, cool, cool of the evening, tell 'em I'll be there. in the cool, cool, cool of the evening. Better save a chair when the party's getting the glow on, and singing fills the air. In the shank of the night when the doings are right, you can tell 'em I'll be there. If there's room for one more and you need me, why sure, you can tell 'em I'll be there. If I can climb out of bed, put a hat on my head, you can tell 'em I'll be there.
Thursday, Mirth's friends make him a free agent.
Nobody will play with me. I feel just like George Steinbrenner.
Mork and Mindy. Then, when the Calico Kid comes gunning for Sam Best,
Get out here!
his family shows the courage that won the West. Tomorrow on ABC.
Look what I got George for Christmas at J.C. Penney. This big remote control color TV, and it's $100 off. So, naturally, I had to get this for myself. And dress shirts are on sale, too. George will be so surprised.
Look what I got Marcia at J.C. Penney. This robe and gown, 20% off. So, I even grabbed a sale shirt for myself. And when Marcia sees her big new remote control color TV, will she be surprised?
It's a little FYI that original price on that TV was $599. Number 2. People usually associate a band like Foreigner with party anthems and loud guitars. But, as is usually the case with these bands, it's their power ballads that soar up the charts. And this month at number 2 is the rockers Foreigner turning down their amps for Waiting for a Girl Like You. With the second single from their fourth album, that was Foreigner with their biggest hit to date. That was Waiting for a Girl Like You. Before we get to the song that topped the Billboard singles chart the week of December 19th, 1981, let's see who's sitting on top of the other charts this week. At number 1 on the Dance Club singles chart for the 6th straight week is Prince with Controversy. Earth, Wind & Fire's Let's Groove is the top R&B single. The number 1 album in the land is by Foreigner with 4. And topping the Billboard mainstream rock singles chart is The Police with their latest single. This one jumped in the top 10 in late November and December, peaking at number 3. But this week it dropped out of the top 10 pop singles down to number 12. Here's a little Police with Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. month, we count down the top 10 hits as determined by the official Billboard survey of the records you bought and DJs were playing across the land. What song tops the charts in December of 1981? Find out after this.
Oh, you finally found your young Prince Charming. Too bad your breath is so alarming.
Brush your breath, brush your breath, brush your breath with Dentine.
You made her notice you're alive, but she smelled your breath and took a dive.
Brush your breath, brush your breath, brush your breath with Dentine.
Not even mouthwash can freshen your breath more effectively than when you're chewing Dentine.
Gee, your birthday party was quite a treat till your breath just knocked them off their feet.
Brush your breath, brush your breath, brush your breath with Dentine.
Number 1. Topping the Billboard 100 singles list chart for the 5th straight week is this pretty young blonde from Australia with her latest hit. Here's Olivia Newton-John with Physical. Here's a fun, useless fact about this song. It was the first video to air on the MTV animated classic Beavis and Butthead. That does it for another month of Pop History Podcast. Well, there goes another year, too. How fast time flies. If you want to have your own 1981 dance party without all this annoying talking, you can find my 1981 playlist on Spotify by searching Pop History Podcast. And if you like what you're listening to and you want to show a little support, drop a couple bucks in our tip jar at PayPal, pophistorypodcast@yahoo.com. That's also where you can email us at. See you next time when we jump ahead to 1982 on Pop History Podcast. I'm Jay Jackson, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to Pop History Podcast.
Please leave a review on iTunes, like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or email us at pophistorypodcast@yahoo.com. Your host and producer is Jay Jackson. Theme music by Jason Parkhurst. All other music used herein is the property of their respective songwriters, publishers, and recording companies, and are used within this podcast for historical and educational purposes. Pop History Podcast is copyright 2018.
We wish you a lot of happiness for years to come. Bob Barker said, Merry Christmas, everybody.
This is Johnny Olson speaking for The Price is Right.